Hey everyone, I hope you're watching my videos because today I have something very different I want to show you. A few months ago when I was web searching on YouTube, I found something very unusual and awesome. My Life as a Teenage Robot Rebooted. When I first saw that, oh my gosh, that was amazing. When I was a kid, I loved My Life as a Teenage Robot. Now that I'm watching it today, it gives me that nostalgia feel. But hey, it's fun to be a kid. Since a lot of people are rebooting the show, I kind of want to put in an entry that I've been working on for the past 3 years. And I think you guys might find this entry really awesome from one of my favorite episodes that 2 main characters turned out villains but then ended up back into the original characters again. And one of those episodes I'm talking about is Dressed to Kill. Now before I talk about the plot, let me talk about the past. When I was a kid, I loved this episode. It has an amazing plot, good fight sequence, and a few jokes that go along with the episode. Now I already talked about the past, let's get to the plot. The plot involves Smitus and all of his henchmen finding one of the most dangerous and powerful artifacts in the universe, the Pip Crystals. Now don't let that name fool you, these crystals are more powerful as they seem. Unfortunately, one of his henchmen accidentally pressed the eject button while they were evil laughing and ejected the crystals to Earth, which fell into John Philippe's fashion studio, which the Crust cousins had an inspiration to make them into prom gowns. The gowns gave Brit and Tiff superpowers which made them even more powerful than Jenny combined. With those powers, they have hope to take over Tremerton as queens, or in this case, queens of the world. Thankfully, Jenny stopped them by showing them a magazine that says crystals are out. Later on, Brit and Tiff put them in a crate where a guy shipped them off to a warehouse, hoping never to be seen again. Overall, the episode was awesome. It was a great inspiration for me. And it was really nice to re-watch My Life as a Teenage Robot, and I really wish you guys can reboot it, and I'm glad you can. Now that I talked about the plot of the episode, I want to talk about my entry for, well, My Life as a Teenage Robot Rebooted. When I saw Dressed to Kill, and when I rewatched it, I saw Brit and Tiff's crystal gowns, and it was a sole inspiration for one of the most awesome creatures I ever thought of. Now that I already got the first inspiration, which is Brit and Tiff, I got the second inspiration from one of my favorite dinosaur app games on my iPad, and that is Dino Pets. If you guys don't know what this game is, click the link down below if you want to get it for yourself on your iPhone or iPad. The game is basically like Jurassic Park Builder, except with the dinosaurs fighting and all, they're basically just peacefully sitting in their enclosures, which is pretty adorable. They're all really cute, and just like Jurassic World the game, you get to hybrid them, which they're called mythicals in the game. One of my favorite mythicals have to be the Brachiosaurus, which is a hybrid of Brachiosaurus and Nyctosaurus, which is a type of species of pterosaur. One of my favorites. Actually, Nyctosaurus actually appeared in The Good Dinosaur, Thunderclap. Love that movie. So yeah, now that I got my 2 inspirations, I finally figured out to make one of the most awesomest, and yet I mentioned this before, coolest creatures I have ever made. And that is the one and only Crystal Queens. Now before I talk about the concept design, let me talk about the plot of the Crystal Queens. They're basically Brit and Tiff combined into one creature, a winged dinosaur-like beast that I like to call the Crystal Queens. I originally called it Guan Hali to make it look like a Chinese mythical creature, but I scrapped it and I thought it would be more cooler if I name it that. So yeah, it works. Now for the idea of the transformation. The idea came to me, and I said to myself, what would happen if the Pip Crystals gave them the power to transform into a giant 2-headed bird-like creature with all the powers they have? Their bodies will fuse into one, their necks will grow longer, Brit's face and mouth will elongate, resembling that of a sharp beak with pointed teeth, and her buck teeth will transform into saber-like teeth. I'm not making fun of Brit's facial appearance, just don't criticize me. Moving on! Her eyebrows will transform into long feather-like appendages reminiscent of modern birds. Tiff's mouth will elongate into a shorter, sharp beak with pointed teeth, not as long as Brit's, and her tiara and her hair on the back will represent crests, and she still kept the earrings. Both of the back of their necks will grow 3 sharp spines on the back. Their hands will transform into 3-fingered, razor-sharp claws, reminiscent of an Archaeopteryx. Their bodies will become feathered, and their arms will become into ginormous wings. In this case, bigger than the Brachiosaurus's wings. Their wings also have blue primary feathers with crystallized shining edges to give it that pip crystal look. Let's also not forget, they also have a pip crystal chest which allows them to be protected from impalement, reminiscent of Smaug from The Hobbit. And like their human form, they can soar and fly like an eagle, and their dinosaur legs have great talons which are great for grabbing. And speaking of Smaug, they can still talk, other than just roar and squawk and screech and stuff. Now that I've talked about the concept and transformation, let's talk about the actual concept. This concept art picture shows many of the doodles and drawings I did for Brit and Tiff, the Crystal Queens. The first one is Brit Crust, and as you can see, I did the front view and the side view of their face. I also did a picture of her face, and it took me like 5 minutes to do it, and it took a long time. And for Tiff's face, the same thing, front, side, Tiff Crust in the middle of that picture right there in the box. It's a really cute face with the tiara and the earrings, so I guess I should give myself a pat on the back for that. And on the left side, I did a picture of Brit's powers, which is Ice Breath and Body Transformation, and I'm going to talk about the Ice Breath first. The Ice Breath, as shown in this picture, is a really interesting power for Brit, especially it goes well with her alternate form, the Crystal Queens. And besides, I've seen a lot of dragons that breathe ice. And for the body transformation, she has a power to transform into any life form or robot into anything she wants. And besides, she turned Smitus into a mini version of himself. But hey, I have to admit, the mini Smitus is freaking adorable. But hey, don't mess with Smitus and the cluster. Now for Tiff's powers. The power that stood out to me was her sonic loud sound after she realized it when she said loser and literally pushed Jenny to a wall. We don't see her doing that after she said loser, but if she did have the sonic shriek, that would go great with her alternate form, the Crystal Queens. She can use that power to make people go irritated with loudness and break through walls and glass wherever she needs to yell. The sonic shriek idea kind of reminds me of the siren from Marathon's Martin Mystery, and Marathon was the same company that made Totally Spies, The Amazing Spies, and Monsters Busters Club. Love those shows. It also has a special move I like to call Hollow Limb Control, which is basically a parody of the Green Lantern, obviously. And as you can see on the bottom, I added their powers with their alternate forms to give them how awesome and cool they would be if they did that alternate form. I hope you guys like this picture and the concept I did. It took me hours for me to make, and it took me a whole night to do the first one. So yeah, I'm glad you guys liked it. Oh, and if any of you guys are noticing that little picture right there, I drew a picture of Tiff carrying Tuck in her mouth, and Brit's just looking at him viciously with a vicious smile right there. I drew it for all you My Life as a Teenage Robot Rebooted fans. I drew it for a little joke, a little gag, and but it makes you feel sorry for Tuck right there, so I thought you guys might enjoy it. Thank you. The only power I didn't add to their alternate form was when Brit and Tiff were waving their arms up and down, they had the power to multiply themselves, which made their victims confused and disoriented. When I was a kid, I was confused myself. Well, there you have it, guys. My entire concept art and designs for My Life as a Teenage Robot Rebooted Crystal Queens, Brit and Tiff. Now, the one thing I didn't tell you is that after I made the concept design, it kind of reminds me of 3 different creatures evolving 2, or in this case, multiple heads, but with 2 wings. And the 3 creatures are the 2-headed giant bird, the Rock, from the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, animated by Ray Harryhausen, who inspired me to make stop-motion videos, the boss Fortitudo from Bayonetta, the video game, and finally, the main villain of the Godzilla franchise, King Ghidorah. I love those movies. So, there you have it, guys. I hope you like my video, and I hope you enjoyed all the concept art for the Crystal Queens for My Life's a Teenage Robot Rebooted. I hope I get to be a part of your guys' Rebooted project. Now, before I close out this video, I want to talk about one of the characters that stood out to me, and that's Brit Crust. I like her character, and I know I'm only talking about her and not Tiff. It starts out the mean high school student thing, but the one thing I want to say to her, and yes, this is a quote from Crane from an episode of Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness, Has Been Hero, and this is a quote I always wanted to say when I was a kid, when I first heard Brit. Brit, you've been making fun of Jenny for the past several years with your cousin, but to show you I'm a nice guy, I'm only going to say one mean thing, and that is, your laugh is really annoying! Worth it. Thank you for watching my video. Peace.